Have you ever had that specific sinking feeling when the alarm goes off in the morning? It is not just tiredness, it is heavy. It feels like gravity is pulling on you twice as hard as it pulls on everyone else. You look at your calendar, your to-do list, or the empty space where your dreams are supposed to be, and you realize that despite all your movement, all your stress, and all your desire, you have not actually moved an inch. It is the sensation of running at full speed on a treadmill, exhausted, sweating, breathless, yet standing in the exact same coordinate you were in a year ago. You ask yourself, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just break through? You feel like there's a glass wall between you and the life you were meant to live. You can see it, you can almost touch it, but every time you reach out, your hand hits an invisible barrier. Welcome to Lumen Peace. Today, we are not just talking about motivation. Motivation is a temporary fuel. What we need today is a demolition crew. We are going to dismantle that invisible wall, brick by invisible brick. Because here's the terrifying truth that nobody tells you. Feeling stuck is not a passive state, it's an active force. Being stuck is not just stopping, it's a dynamic conflict between who you are and who you are afraid to become. You are not lazy. If you were truly lazy, you would be content with doing nothing. But you are not content. You are restless. That restlessness is the proof that you are meant for more, but something is actively holding you back. Most people think they're stuck because of external circumstances, the economy, their boss, their family, their lack of resources. But if I gave you $1 million and a free schedule today, the stuck feeling would eventually return. Why? Because the chains are not wrapped around your circumstances, they are wrapped around your perception. These are the invisible chains. They are psychological, spiritual, and emotional tethers that operate in the background of your mind like a computer virus, slowing down your processing power without you even knowing they're installed. We are going to unmask these chains. We are going to look them in the eye, because you cannot break a chain that you refuse to see. You have been fighting a ghost, swinging punches in the dark and wondering why you're losing the fight. That ends today. Over the course of this journey, we are going to expose the 5 specific mechanisms that keep good people paralyzed. We are going to turn the lights on. But I have to warn you, the first chain we are going to look at is the most deceptive one of all. It is the one that disguises itself as a virtue. It is the one that tells you it's keeping you safe while it slowly suffocates your potential. You probably use this chain every single day, thinking it is your shield, but in reality, it is your cage. The chain we spoke of, the one that glitters like gold but binds like steel, is perfectionism. You might call it having high standards, you might call it excellence, you might even pride yourself on being a detail-oriented person. But let's be honest with one another in this safe space of Lumen Peace. Often, what we call perfectionism is actually fear walking in expensive shoes. It's the sophisticated disguise of insecurity. When you are stuck in the loop of getting ready to get ready, you are not moving, you are hiding. You tell yourself that you need just one more certification, one more week of research, or one more draft before you launch that project or make that change. You convince yourself that you are being responsible, but in reality, you are terrified of being seen as imperfect. This chain tells you that if you cannot do it perfectly, you shouldn't do it at all. And since nothing human is ever perfect, you do nothing. It's a brilliant trap. It keeps you safe from criticism, safe from failure, and safe from judgment, but it also keeps you safe from success, growth, and life itself. You become a professional planner of a life you never actually live. You are standing on the edge of the diving board, analyzing the water temperature, the wind speed, and the angle of entry, while everyone else is already in the water swimming. They might look messy, they might be splashing around, but they are getting somewhere, and you are dry, safe, and completely stuck. Perfectionism is not a quest for the best, it's the pursuit of the worst kind of unhappiness, the unhappiness of potential that rots on the vine because it was never picked. To break this chain, you have to embrace a new philosophy. Messy action is better than perfect inaction. You have to be willing to be a beginner. You have to be willing to stumble.
The stagnation you feel is the weight of all the things you are waiting to do perfectly. Drop the weight, run badly, write poorly, start clumsily, just move. The moment you accept that good enough is the gateway to great, the first chain shatters. The relief is instant. You feel lighter. You take that first step you've been avoiding for years. But just as you start to gain momentum, just as you feel the wind in your hair, you are going to collide with something much darker. If perfectionism is the mask you wear for the world, the next chain is the story you tell yourself in the dark. It is not about how you do things, it is about who you believe you are. It is a silent recording that plays on a loop in your subconscious, planted there years ago, perhaps a parent, a teacher, or a past failure. It is the identity anchor, and it is the reason why even when you have a lucky break, you unconsciously sabotage it to go back to being stuck. We need to find where this recording is hidden in your mind and press the stop button once and for all. The identity anchor is the silent killer of dreams because it operates below the surface. You see, human beings have a powerful drive to act consistently with how they define themselves. If your internal narrative, that recording we talked about, says, "I am a procrastinator," or "I am not a creative person," or "people like me don't get the big breaks," then your brain will actually fight against your success to prove that you are right. It sounds insane, doesn't it? Why would your own mind fight against you? Because the mind craves familiarity more than it craves happiness. To your subconscious, the known misery of being stuck feels safer than the unknown territory of growth. Think of it like a thermostat in a house. Your self-image is the temperature setting. Let's say your thermostat is set to struggling. If you suddenly get a burst of motivation, land a new opportunity, or start a new workout routine, the temperature in the house rises. You start to feel different. You start to heat up. But because your internal thermostat is still set to struggling, the alarm bells go off. Your system kicks in the air conditioning to cool you back down. You start missing appointments, you pick a fight with your partner, you scroll on your phone for 3 hours, you sabotage your own progress just to get back to the temperature you're used to. You are not stuck because you lack ability. You are stuck because you are loyal to a version of yourself that no longer exists. Breaking the identity anchor requires a violent act of imagination. You have to stop waiting to feel like a different person before you act like one. You must reverse the equation. You don't think your way into a new way of acting. You act your way into a new way of thinking. You have to betray your old self. You have to look in the mirror and realize that the person staring back is just a draft, not the final manuscript. When you start making choices that align with your future rather than your past, the anchor lifts, the ship begins to move, the horizon opens up. But as you sail away from the harbor of your old self, you will notice something disturbing in the water. You are not alone in this ocean. As you begin to change, as you begin to accelerate, you will feel a drag on the hull of your ship. It is not an internal anchor this time. It is a grip coming from the outside. It is the hands of the people you love, the society you live in, and the culture that surrounds you. They are not trying to drown you, or at least they don't think they are. They're just holding on. This next chain is the most painful one to address because it involves the people we care about most. It is the phenomenon known as the crab bucket, and if you don't learn how to navigate it, it will pull you back down every single time.
The concept of the crab bucket is brutal nature at its finest. If you put a single crab in a bucket, it will easily crawl out. But if you put a dozen crabs in that same bucket, not one of them will escape. Why? Because the moment one crab starts to climb the wall, the others will reach up, grab its legs, and pull it back down. They do not do this because they are evil. They do it because that is the instinct of the herd. They are trying to keep the group together. In your life, this dynamic is rarely malicious, which makes it even harder to detect. It comes in the form of a concerned mother saying, "I just don't want you to be disappointed." It comes as a friend joking, "Oh, you're too good for us now?" It is the subtle social gravity that demands you stay small so that others can feel comfortable. When you start to unstuck yourself, you hold up a mirror to the people around you. Your growth highlights their stagnation. Your discipline highlights their lack of it.
Without saying a word, your improvement challenges their excuses, and subconsciously, they panic. They pull you down not to hurt you, but to soothe themselves. If you fail, their worldview is safe. If you succeed, they are forced to ask themselves why they are still sitting in the bucket. Breaking this chain is the hardest emotional labor you will ever do because it often requires you to disappoint the people you love. You have to realize that you are not responsible for managing other people's insecurity. You cannot set yourself on fire just to keep others warm. You must audit your circle. You might have to walk alone for a season. You might have to seek out new voices, new mentors, and new crabs who are already climbing out of the bucket and reaching a claw down to pull you up instead of dragging you down. When you finally break free from the social gravity, the silence is deafening. You are out of the bucket. You are standing on solid ground. The path is clear. You have handled your perfectionism, you have rewritten your identity, and you have set boundaries with your environment. You are free. Or so you think. Because just as you take that first real breath of freedom, you look at the road ahead and you freeze. You are not being held back by a chain anymore. You are being stopped by a chasm. It is the ultimate fear. It is the reason why so many people break all the other chains only to stand still at the very end. It is the fear of the sunk cost. It is the whispering lie that says you have wasted too much time already and it is too late to start over. This is the final boss. This is the barrier between you and your destiny. And if you do not cross this bridge, everything else we have done today was for nothing. The sunk cost is the most tragic chain of all because it uses your own history as a weapon against your future. You look back at 5 years of a degree you don't use, 10 years of a relationship that drains you, or 20 years of a career that makes you miserable, and you say, I can't leave now, I've invested too much. That is the logic of a prisoner who refuses to walk out of an open cell door simply because he spent so much time decorating the walls. The time is gone, it is spent. You cannot get a refund on those years no matter how hard you wish for it. But here's the liberating truth that snaps this final chain. The future is a completely separate currency. To spend your future paying for the mistakes of your past is the ultimate self-betrayal. You are not starting over from scratch, you are starting over from experience. You are afraid that if you change course now, you will be behind. Behind whom? There is no schedule. There is no cosmic timeline that dictates when you must bloom. Colonel Sanders didn't franchise KFC until he was 62. Vera Wang didn't enter the fashion industry until she was 40. The feeling of being late is just another illusion created to keep you compliant. The moment you accept that your past was just the tuition fee you had to pay to learn who you really are, the chasm closes. The bridge appears. The fear of wasted time evaporates, replaced by the urgency of the time you have left. You realize that the only way to truly waste time is to spend the next year doing exactly what you did for the last one. So look at your wrists. The chain of perfectionism, broken. The anchor of identity, cut loose. The crab bucket, left behind. The sunk cost, written off. You are standing here right now, completely unburdened for the first time in years. The wall you thought was made of brick was actually made of fog. All it took was the courage to walk through it. The sensation you feel right now, that mixture of fear and excitement, is not anxiety. It is the feeling of freedom. It is the feeling of the engine finally turning over. The wheels are finding traction. You are not stuck. You never really were. You were just waiting for permission to move. This is your permission. Now, the road is open, but you don't have to walk it in the dark. If you felt a chain break today, if you felt a weight lift off your chest, hit that like button. It tells us that you are ready to move. And if you want to keep this momentum, if you want to ensure that the wall never gets built again, subscribe to Lumen Peace. We are building a community of people who refuse to stay still. Turn on the notifications because your journey has just begun. And trust me, you are going to want to see where this road leads next. Welcome to the other side of the wall. Welcome to your life.